Let's explore that question. Well, prior to 1929, most scientists thought the universe was eternal. It had always existed. It was infinite in size and time. But in 1929, Edwin Hubble made a discovery. He discovered that the universe was like raisin bread. Right? So here's a picture of raisin bread in the oven rising. And notice that as the raisin bread gets bigger, all the raisins get farther apart. Well, Hubble really didn't discover raisin bread. He discovered that the galaxies in the universe were moving farther apart. And if the galaxies are moving farther apart, you can make a conclusion. In fact, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Well, I guess he was a rocket scientist, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to make the conclusion. And that is, if the universe is expanding now, it must have started to expand. It must have had a beginning. An expanding universe implies that the universe had a beginning in what we call the Big Bang. And that idea was not really accepted by the scientific community. Arthur Eddington said, philosophically, the notion of a beginning of the present order of nature is repugnant. I should like to find a genuine loophole. Now, why is the idea that the universe had a beginning repugnant to scientists? Is it because it's true or not? No, it's because if the universe had a beginning, it might have had a beginner. And that's the idea that's repugnant to some people. But every scientist you come across now accepts the Big Bang. Even though philosophically it's repugnant, we all believe it's true because the evidence was so overwhelming. The evidence comes in three kinds. The universe is expanding. It must have started to expand. We can predict how much helium and hydrogen should be in the universe. And what we predict based on the Big Bang is exactly what we see to 1 part in 10,000. It's remarkable. And then third, this is what the quiz will be about, by the way, so make sure you take good notes. Why do we know the Big Bang is true? That's a joke. But anyway, the temperature of the universe is the third reason. What do you mean by the temperature of the universe? Well, the universe started out really hot. It's like you go into your kitchen and you turn the oven on, and you get it really, really hot. And then you turn the oven off, and you open the door to the oven, and you leave the house, and you come back. And a few hours later, the whole house is just a little bit warmer because the oven was really hot at one time. Well, we think the universe started out really hot, and it's been cooling ever since. And if this happened, we should still see the leftover heat. And quite a while ago, in 1964, two scientists discovered this leftover heat. It's called the cosmic background microwave radiation. And again, what we think happened with the Big Bang, our theoretical models agree with the experimental evidence to 1 part in 10,000. It's a remarkable theory. The correlation between the theory and the evidence is so strong that it caused scientists to accept that the universe had a beginning, even though the philosophical ideas, the philosophical baggage was so great. So everything we know, Einstein's special or general theory of relativity that describes gravity, and all the observations say that the Big Bang was the origin of everything we know, the beginning of space-time, matter, and energy. There's no bang. There's nothing there to bang. There's no explosion of pre-existing stuff. Nothing was there. It's the origin, the creation of space-time, matter, and energy. That's the Big Bang. Right? So that's a problem if you don't believe in God. One physicist wrote, the biggest problem with the Big Bang theory of the origin of the universe is philosophical, perhaps even theological. What was there before the bang? You see, if the universe had a beginning, if everything we know in the universe had a beginning, then whatever or whoever started it can't be a part of this universe. That beginner must be transcendent, outside the universe. Have you ever heard of a transcendent creator before? Right? Of course you have. That's what Christians have been saying long ago. And in fact, scientists understood the theological implications of this. This was a quote from an agnostic physicist about the Big Bang. For the scientist who has lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He scaled the mountains of ignorance. He's about to conquer the highest peak. And as he pulls himself over the rock, he's greeted by a band of theologians who've been sitting there for centuries. Right? The theologians have been saying all along the universe had a beginning. And now science says the universe has a beginning. In fact, it's quite remarkable that over the last century, what we've observed in science is about the origin of the universe what we've observed in science about the origin of the universe is exactly what the Bible said centuries ago. First, the universe had a beginning. The very first verse of the Bible, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Second, that the stuff of the universe did not exist at one time. The writer of the Hebrews said, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so what is seen was not made out of what was visible. In fact, the things we see now did not come from some pre-existing stuff that was visible. And science now confirms this. But even maybe more amazing is that the Bible is the only holy book in the world that talks about the Creator, that explicitly talks about the Creator existing before time. Paul wrote that grace was given us in Christ Jesus before the beginning of time. Now, I have no clue what it means to not have time. But the Big Bang says time itself came to existence. So whoever started this universe must live outside of time. And Paul, for some reason, understood that and wrote that God was acting before he created time. So these things that we've discovered from scientific observation of the universe, from the beginning, from the origin, from the Big Bang, are exactly what the Bible said. The question is, the Big Bang an atheistic theory? The answer is no. The Big Bang points to a transcendent creator. It's the best evidence for God other than the resurrection of Jesus. The best objective evidence for God, in my opinion, other than the resurrection, is the origin of the universe. Arno Penzias, who won the Nobel Prize for finding the cosmic background radiation, said the best data we have concerning the Big Bang are exactly what I would have predicted had I nothing to go on but the 5 books of Moses, the Psalms, the Bible as a whole. Right? The Big Bang is a theistic theory. Even if you don't believe in the Big Bang because of your Christian beliefs, you should know that it points to God, so that your friends who already believe it and don't know the philosophical implications, you can use that. You can turn the question around. Do you believe in the Big Bang? Well, of course. Well, do you know the implications that our universe had a beginning? That there's a beginner out there who's transcendent.